Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Solutionaries here on Regenerative Media TV. And it's been quite a potent week here as we're going from the time of the year of the wood snake into the fire horse. And it just feels like everything is accelerating, not just the collapse of the old paradigm, but the acceleration of new regenerative solutions for people and planet around health and sustainability. So today I'm really honored to be doing a podcast and interview with one of our newest members of the Alliance for Regenerative Communities, who's also kind of taken the horse by the bridle and is helping to co-create this initiative called the Regenerative Health Alliance to do pop-up clinics in the Los Angeles area where he's based out of. So again, without any further ado, I'm really happy to be talking today with now I consider a friend and colleague, with Greg Wolfe of Wolfe Wellness, who does amazing work with people, health, and wellness. So welcome, Greg.
Hello, Michael. Really honored to have this opportunity to speak with you, speak with our listeners, and grow our message. Um, and this is where I get to tell you a little about myself, so you can find out what this means to you and how it can help you out in your life. So
So I
let me
will I will
start.
say I will say before we start, you inspired me. Instead of being in my office today, I'm out here doing some forest and some sunbathing,
Hey.
getting some vitamins and just getting some clean Rocky Mountain air. So again, you've already inspired me to be healthier. And just to start with, could give us a little bit of a synopsis of what Wolf Wellness is and the type of work that you do.
Okay, fantastic. So, in the simple vernacular, I'm known as a longevity health coach, and that may sound familiar to some people, but it's not a really common title. So, what do I do? Um, the thing is, most people they don't their health they think about their health here and there. Maybe there's a saying that everybody has hopes and dreams, but a sick person only has one. That's to get healthy. So this is really what I do is really about, you could say preventative medicine. So people think, oh yeah, I have a doctor, I pay health insurance, and I'm fine. But a few people now are waking up, also with the help of our friendly RFK Jr., to know that actually it's pretty important to do things proactively, get yourself healthy, stay healthy, and you don't have to start going to your doctor who's basically going to prescribe pharmaceuticals or surgery. And really, it's a downhill journey from there. So
It's interesting
I'm
too,
somebody who can
and what's
really,
interesting
and
too,
Michael, interrupt, go ahead.
just one thing that's interesting to me, of course, I'm kind of old school, so I heard about natural medicine and holistic health, where it's like spirit, mind, body. Of course, people have become more aware of nutrition, but now there's a lot new verbiage out there, like longevity coach or biohacking and the use of technology. One of the things I really appreciate about you is you're kind of very much multidisciplinary. You're working with a lot of these
Right.
different modalities, kind of in a fuller spectrum than just doing one specific thing. Is that correct?
I love how you emphasize that up front. And that really is a distinguishing point. And I've met a lot of different health practitioners, coaches. They seem to be, I've always got the impression they've got a narrow focus. A lot of them emphasize, hey, let me get you an exercise routine that works, or clean up your diet, or, some of them start expanding and they'll have a few little tips and tricks about your sleep. But there's so much more to it. And like you said, there's ancient methodologies which I like to honor: traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda. Here's a nice little quick takeaway that from Ayurveda, and it's one of the very important things. And so many people make this mistake, and they'll be like, I have a healthy breakfast. I like to have some yogurt and fruit, whatever, in the morning, or that's my quick breakfast. And I'm just going to tell you right now that yogurt and fruit is probably one of the most toxic combinations of two different foods. I can go into the biochemistry of that, but this is one of the areas, just an example to say, look, you think you're doing it right, but let's actually take a deeper dive and access the real knowledge, both ancient and modern, to really find out what works better and actually what's working against you.
Yeah,
So
I know in
there's one example.
macrobiotics we learned about, mixing fruit with anything really isn't a good combination, and especially, of course, the idea of mixing it with dairy can
Yeah.
be really. So you obviously you deal with nutrition, and what are some of the other areas? And again, I love your full spectrum approach that you work with as far as these healing traditions or
Right.
disciplines and modalities.
Right. Yeah. And I do that because you know, I talk to people and they say, they're just not feeling full strength. I like to describe it as, you've got an 8-cylinder V8 hot rod engine, um, but a lot of people are firing on 1 or 2 cylinders, and it's been a slow downhill journey. Whatever age they are, they might have started going downhill from childhood. Look, it's a very toxic world. So, um, I look at everything involved in what is bringing a person down, and that's where I get such a comprehensive approach. Since you asked, Michael, I don't want to burden people with a lot of details, but it's important to at least have a high level appreciation of what's involved. So I start with state of the art diagnostics, which are improving all the time. There's things, so things like looking at your microbiome. What's that mean? Well, maybe your gut doesn't have the right bacteria. Did you know your gut and your brain? People say gut brain connection. What does that mean? If your gut doesn't have good bacteria, if you've taken antibiotics and you've wiped them out a few times, that explains why you're not feeling happy. And it's so simple, right? Like, so I'd have to go to a psychotherapist. Maybe not. Maybe your gut bacteria lacks the right biome that actually produces your emotions. Your emotions come from your gut. If it's off, your emotions are off. I've had guys, this one guy in particular, he was trying all these therapies. He's, I'm not happy, I'm anxious. I got his gut rejuvenated and no more need for psychotherapy. He's happy. He's like, I can get through life now. And of course, he had a lot more energy. So diagnostics, the right diagnostics. Let's find out what's going on. Let's look under the hood. The second one, once we have some idea of where you are and what your capacity is, I'm going to get you clearing out the garbage. So important. Popularly known as detox. A lot of people have heard something about detox. It goes through many different stages of detox. And it's not just a little quickie thing, taking a formula, drinking some juices. Um, Maybe 100 years ago that would have worked, but our planet has never been so polluted, so toxic that it is now. And we're actually creatures of nature. We're part of the planet. This is also one of the reasons I love regenerative communities, because it is looking at that full picture. It's looking at, hey, what about soil health? The planetary health, the water health, the architectural building health. Let's build back cleaner. Now, the same exact thing applies to your biology. That's where I come in. And if you don't have your biology clean, well, it's just like you have these fires over here at, by the sea, at the Palisades. And what did they do? Well, they carved out the soil and they took out all the toxic soil. Now, a lot of people are seeing that maybe they didn't even do a good enough job of that. And because you can't, if you build your new house on all of the toxic fumes and rubble that was there before, you've got to, like so taking all these expensive supplements and foods, but you haven't cleaned out your body. You haven't flushed out the mucoid plaque. You haven't eliminated the parasites, the mold. There's damage from negative EMFs hitting us all the time. The list is actually pretty long. We've got now microplastics. I can diagnose for microplastics, and it's also then important to detox from it.
And of
So
course, heavy metals, which is so prolific right now. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, Greg, because we are doing our soil summit coming up on February 21st and 22nd, and within
yeah,
the Alliance for Regenerative Communities. And what we do at Earthstock is we're bringing in some top soil testers to show people exactly what is in the soil. And as
so important.
shocking as it'll be, we're not trying to add to the trauma of the fallout post fire because a lot of people are still very much, traumatized by the fires. It's not just homes burned and trees and things like that, but it's the impact on people. And then we're bringing in some soil remediation specialists. But I know that you and I have been talking and we're working with people like Jen House and others that we're planning to do our first pop-up clinic in response to the fire because I mean, let's admit it, something like 20,000 homes burned. And people, even if their home didn't burn, that whole area has been affected by breathing in
Right?
carcinogens, things like lead, lithium from the electric cars, the batteries, and rubber, all the stuff that
And plastic.
yeah, exactly. It's part of kind of our consumerism of all these toxic things that become more accelerated after these fires. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm kind of really excited about showing people with people like yourself, solutionaries and regenerative health and wellness, and especially what you do in the diagnostics and your methodologies, along with a few others, showing people that they can do things differently. And again, it's exciting that we're not just talking right now. I mean, you have a successful practice, but we're kind of putting our superpowers together to get some real traction.
I love that. That's why I was so excited to join this movement. It's very unique. It's really it's a brain. It's a brain trust in a way, as we're bringing together experts in so many different fields, and we feed off of each other in ways that are very unique. That someone in one field might not necessarily recognize what's going on until they extrapolate from something else. A bit like combining mathematics and music. Sometimes you get an awesome symphony coming from that.
Absolutely.
So
That's what we love calling full spectrum regenerative solutions. We can't just, and you, especially as a person working with health, we can't just put a band-aid on cancer and think it's going to go away. We need to start treating the whole organism. And as you're talking
yeah.
about with a person, starting with the biome, what are some other disciplines that you work with? So suppose someone comes in, you introduce them, you do this diagnostic, you're working on the biome, you're working on the detox. What are some other pathways that you might use in your practice to help bring people kind of to an optimal state of wellness?
Course. And the list there includes, and I will emphasize, there are multiple stages of detoxing. Um, Microplastics, heavy metals, parasites, mucoid plaque, and I've got several layers. And we start with the colon, go to the liver, lungs, kidney. People generally need help with all those things.
Wow.
Now, that's the heavy lifting. That's the foundation. First, we take out the garbage, you scoop the soil out. Then, how do we construct a house out of really powerful materials? Well, you know what? Everyone's house requires different materials. It's not quite the same as just having a cookie cutter house. And that wouldn't be fun anyway. That's where the diagnostics come in. One person's superfood, for instance, is another person's kryptonite.
Mm.
Um, yeah, take even, there's some people need to be more vegetarian. Not many, but some people really, because of their ancestry genetics, because of their microbiome, because of the size of their gallbladder, they need more meat. You get someone with a big gallbladder, I don't know, big gallbladder, it's generating a lot of bile. I've had a client and his wife was vegetarian. He thought, oh, great, I'll be vegetarian. And then he was just ill and weak and he was getting cavities, hair was falling out, everything was falling apart. And we took a look at his diagnostics. We did a microbiome test and it goes, dude, you need to be much more carnivore. Your genetics comes and his unique organ configuration requires that kind of protein. And once he switched and really started bringing in that meat, all his symptoms cleared up. It was that simple. Sometimes it's very simple. Now, here's where things get a little bit broader spectrum. And this is an important part where a human coach can never be substituted for AI. Everyone's heard about AI taking over things. But if you think about it, is AI going to look, going to work with you and say, hey, I see some sabotaging behaviors here. I've got an understanding, I've got some empathy about where you are. And, there's a feedback loop happening between a client and me where I sense what's happening in their heart. There's some self-sabotage behaviors going. It's like, they understand what to do here, but something is just stopping them from moving forward with it. And that's where behavioral coaching comes in. And that's a pleasant form, really. It's not about browbeating or you're thinking about a coach on a football field or a military sergeant. That's not how the heart works. That's not how humans operate. That's some Hollywood horror story that, shows everybody the wrong way of doing things. So again, working with behaviors, and sometimes it's about locating childhood trauma. How do you overcome that? There are slow ways and there are fast ways. So I'm always looking for the best in class, fastest ways to get the quickest results. Let's put that behind us. Get that speed bump out of the way so, you can embrace your new identity, your new lifestyle. And that's a huge part of it. People sometimes see themselves as being weak or sick, um, or just they have this self-sabotaging program running. And
Well, if I can add to that too, I love what you said about, there's not like one pill or one methodology that's a cure-all. I know when I was exploring, I grew up in a restaurant family, so lots of pasta and Italian food and lots of meat. And, I made a decision very young to become a vegetarian. And then I explored things like, okay, as a vegetarian, do I want to eat eggs? Do I do dairy, cheese? Part of being Italian is I have a quota of a certain amount of cheese I have to eat. So I couldn't escape that a genetic astrology, let's say. But nonetheless, I found what works for me. But I did explore with things like live food diets, paleo diets, which are very popular right now. I explored things like fruitarianism, and I found a formula that works for me. But again, I love the fact that you brought up our genetics, what our ancestors are eating, what is our genetic legacy, how does that play into health and the whole big picture. So I just wanted to touch on that. I think that's a really fascinating thing that a lot of people don't look at, especially, again, Western medicine has its own function, but just going into a doctor and basically being prescribed a pill, which can mask a symptom, we're starting to see now this whole other approach, which, as you mentioned, through Ayurveda from India or Chinese medicine and herbology and natural medicine and homeopathy and osteopathy.
osteopathy, that's
Yeah,
the
there's a lot
European
of
style.
methodologies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you know what, Michael, you're ahead of the game. I can hear by the way you talk right now, you've self-educated quite a bit more than the average bear. And
Self-educated and self-medicated at times. So I'm a
self-medicated.
work in progress.
Oh, yeah. Hey, self-meditated. So another element is, people talk about stress relief. Well, how do you get to stress relief? How do we, relieve it and stop it from hitting us? So there's a lot of deeper levels going on there. And it's always a multi-pronged approach. As you mentioned, there's no magic bullet. There's no one supplement because we're finding out what's in your microbiome. We're working on that. We're working on your psychology. We're clearing out the garbage, not the least of which, and also quite important, and I'll say it helped me immensely, is I do Qigong. And I've been doing that as well as some Tai Chi for many years. What that does is it exercises your bioenergy and in ancient terminology, in China, they call it your chi. In India, they call it prana. And they both approach it a little differently, and it has a different effect on the body, but it's your life force. It is your energy body. And your body is a bunch of linked chains, and when one of them is really weak, the chain is weak. So this is also what I'd include. In my exercise routine, people think, they're doing all right. And I ask them, they go, oh yeah, I exercise, I bike regularly, or I hike. There are 10 different styles of exercise, the way your body moves. And
Maybe lifting
working
weights at the gym alone isn't the cure-all.
Rex. It's important. You'd be surprised how many people are allergic to the gym. Um, and
So out of curiosity, I know we have like another 5 minutes left. Is there a way we could give our viewers a little experience of this practice you're talking about? We can give them a little tool for their tool belt.
sure, sure. I love to, share what I can. I would do this if I was, a millionaire. I love, sharing this type of knowledge. So here's something you can do. I'll give you two, and this is a breath work. Some people have heard about breath work, tried it here and there, but these are two different breath works I'm going to give you, because one of them you might be driving a car right now. The other one you might be relaxing on your couch. So if you're relaxing on your couch and you want to relax, you want to really feel deeper relaxation, this is so simple. Or maybe you're stressed sometime and you just, reacting to something. Very simply, it's going to be inhaling through the nose for about 3 or 4 counts. Exhale through your mouth like you're blowing out a candle for 6 to 8 counts. And when you exhale, feel your shoulders, feel the weight of your body. You're going to do this at least a few times. Some people say, well, how many times? I say, until it feels right. Everyone's different. Your needs are different. At least a few times. You just breathe in quickly, 4 count, 3 or 4. You can hold it a little bit, breathe out slowly through the mouth, like you're blowing out a candle. Now that's for relaxing. You can do that. You could do that while you're driving. Another one, say you need energy. So you don't want to relax, but you want to pump up. Maybe you're falling asleep on the road right now. So there's something called the Sufi breath, which is very energizing. It's great to do in the morning. That first one is better in the evening. You want to chill, go to sleep. I do have morning, evening routines, but we don't have time for that now. The Sufi breath is you breathe, it's a two-part breath. You breathe first deep into your stomach and then your chest, and it's a quick breath. Now you can do it through your nose or your mouth. A little bit better if you can breathe in through your nose. If it's clear, it looks or sounds something like this. And these should be deep, strong breaths, not a half breath. Go really as deep as you can.
So to be clear, you're breathing through the nose partially and then the mouth partially.
It's
It's a
better to breathe out through your mouth because now you're exhaling quickly. What that's doing is it's pumping oxygen into your body really fast. Think of yourself running at full speed. You're going to have to breathe hard. Maybe you're exercising really hard. You're playing pickleball or something. You're going to be breathing hard. Your body needs that energy, it's demanding it. But if you're just sitting and driving or in a meeting, of course, don't make it look too obvious, and you're falling asleep, this will pick up your energy. And all that energy that your body would have demanded when you were running, your body's not demanding it, but you're giving it. So now your body's going, whoa, I am awake. It's better than coffee. I'm telling you, you do this. And how long do you do it? At least a minute. Um, there's more to it than that, but these two breaths are so powerful and you can take them with you anywhere. It helps you regulate your nervous system, which is a huge part of what I do. Help people understand. It's like teaching you the operating manual for how your body can function optimally. It's a huge body of knowledge. I've been there. I was
amazing
getting ill.
and inexpensive too.
Well, so,
A
and
lot
this
of, I
is
mean, a lot of these tools are just like, it seems like common sense in our intelligence,
right,
but when we have the benefit of people like you
right.
to educate us about these ancient techniques and wisdom, it's really, it helps people to really, I guess, take radical self-responsibility for their own health and wellness as opposed to the quick convenience drive-through of health in America and just pop a pill and mask the symptoms. So in the last minute or two we have left, do you do other work? Do you work with like vitamins, nutraceuticals, peptides, red light? Do you do other types of modalities also?
Thing you just said, plus about 10 more things. I think we would need more than 5 minutes.
Can you just name a couple of the other disciplines so when people hear this, they know some of your other offerings?
Right. So I've already talked about the bioenergetics and the ancient technologies there. Peptides, supplementation is very powerful, but again, it needs to be focused. It needs to be what you require. There are breakthroughs happening all the time. There's massive expos going on, and we can leverage these things. I see them a little bit as icing on the cake. And also, I would say what equally important is that I have a broad network of specialists. And so another element where someone might be locked up is their myofascial tissues could be storing the trauma. So beyond maybe their psychology, their biology, they've got their physical structure, which needs releasing. And so I help them teach myofascial stretching. Or maybe if they're in a severe state, I can see that and send them to a specialist who can work with releasing that's the tension that's trapped in their body. And that is often what is locking down certain organs or systems or joints. There are so many other technologies to learn to remove those pains. So again, clearing out the garbage, knowing how to put things back in a customized way. Um, and leveraging more sophisticated technologies. There are things like the ionic foot bath, for instance, which stimulates your body to further release its garbage and toxicity. And it's a lot of it is also developing the right routines, simple stuff like you're doing right now. We are beings of much more electricity than we are of chemicals or even water. Everything is built as an electric component. So when you're sitting there in the sunlight right now, you are you are charging your body and maybe your bare feet are on the earth. So you're getting that clearing and grounding as well as the sunlight. We are creatures of nature. We're not meant to live in a concrete jungle. So all of these things factor together. And I love to get people, basically, it's gradually upgrading. It might sound like a lot right now. And that's also an issue people face going, I can't handle all this. It's a gradual upgrade of your lifestyle. I work with people, usually in a 3 month transformation, and that gives them the basic tools to begin to grow and improve their life. And
And
from there, they're able to actually drive their hot rod without crashing into a tree every 5 minutes.
yeah, and I really love, with our Regenerative Health Alliance, we're kind of taking a different approach too with these pop-up clinics and introducing people to people like yourself who are health coaches that have the solutions that they need. But also, I'm really excited because we're exploring going into large companies and corporations that, of course, that can be a not a healthy work environment too, and bringing some health and wellness support there. So we have a great. I mean, your practice is incredible, and your knowledge is expanded. I mean, I will say I meet a lot of health people, and they have either a certain area of specialty, or they're kind of learning, and they're a health coach, and maybe they've learned a few things, and of course they're trying to make a living. One of the things I appreciate about you is, you have an incredible corporate administrative background, but you have this full spectrum of health and wellness tools. And now we're connected, we're collaborating, and looking at different ways to kind of market and reach people that really need the support, as opposed to just having an office and hoping people come in. I know also you're going to be coming up at the Conscious Life Expo, and then there's the Expo West, which is one of the largest natural health products expos in California that's coming up. You were just at A4M in Las Vegas. So I know you really have your finger on the pulse, which is why we've kind of formed our alliance, because you are a definite solutionary luminary, and have access to all the cutting edge innovative support that people need. So in the last minute, if people, maybe you can leave our audience with a few words of wisdom, and then if they want to get in touch with you, how they would find your website.
Fantastic. Appreciate all that. It's all true. Um, there is so much more. I would love to go into greater detail, but time is limited. So you're invited to connect with me if this resonates with you. If you realize you'd like to fire on all eight cylinders instead of just two, um, we can do that together. It's a journey. It's like you can't go to the gym once and expect to be a bodybuilder. So you can find me. My name is Greg Wolfe. My practice is Wolfe Wellness. And not surprisingly, my website is wolfewellness.co. Don't put the M on it. It's not com. I got co.
And
So it's
that's also
Wolf.
Wolf with an E, right?
Right. I,
WOLFE, wolfwellness.co.
right. I was just gonna, yeah, thanks for that. Wolfie Wellness. But you don't say the E. Yeah, and from there, you can just come down and say, "Hey, connect with me." You could even hit the button for a quick free discovery call. We can get on the phone video for at least a half hour, 45 minutes, and I like this work. I'll talk to you for absolutely free, no obligation, no charge. We can find out about your specific situation, what works for you, fits your budget, fits your lifestyle. You can go all the way up the ladder if you want to really revise your body, or if you're on a tight budget, like you said, Michael. There are a lot of free and cheap ways. There's even a couple of new biohacking techniques. I love this one. It will actually pay you money to clean out your body. And I'll share with that. It cleans out your blood.
Amazing.
And
Well, let's do this. Let's keep the audience wanting more. You
yeah,
have so much to offer, and we'll wrap for today. And I really appreciate the time with you. Again, you've inspired me. I'm sitting out here in the sun at 9,000 feet in the Rockies, looking at the beautiful 14,000-foot snow-capped Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and one of the largest pure water tables. And I know we've already been talking about possibly doing a health retreat here, or maybe to Ecuador, or some of our other resources through our strategic alliance as the Alliance for Regenerative Communities, helping to regenerate people and planet. So, Greg Wolfe, thank you so much for your time. For those of you who have tuned in, you're watching again Solutionaries here on Regenerative Media TV. And if you're interested, if you have a superpower for the new paradigm around health and sustainability and the environment, check out Alliance, the number 4, Regen, com, and maybe you want to become a member and be part of this incredible team of superheroes and solutionaries and think tank people to help create this new paradigm for people and planet. So again, thank you so much, Greg, for your time.
pleasure to be on your team.